is the safety culture in the Caribbean different from other regions? Okay. If there's a cultural difference, then how would that affect the safety culture within the operation or within that culture? The positive side of island life is that, yeah, everything is laid back and it's comfortable and quiet and nobody's really in a rush to do anything. But how does that work out when you have an airline operation that has to work on a very specific time clock? And you have employees that say, well, you know, I'm a pilot and I'm supposed to show up an hour before the flight, and the pilot winds up showing up 5 minutes before the flight as a direct result of the culture, not because they just show up late. Do you think that is something that could be a problem in terms of, let's say, an island culture? Yes, and I've seen that.
Yeah, Rob, from my experience, when we're approached to start service into a new market, connectivity is important, and enplanements. I think customer satisfaction should and probably does weigh into it at some level, but as an airline being approached for service in these markets, customer satisfaction doesn't come into the discussion, although it may have already come into the discussion before it gets to us.
What is important is that people are properly trained, and that the training involves the adoption of a safety management system which requires all the procedures to be written down and for all the staff to be trained to follow those procedures. And if the procedures don't work for any reason or there's an accident, then perhaps the procedure has to be changed. One of the things that causes accidents is that people are trying to do the same thing in a different way.
This is beyond our expectations, and we are so glad that we had this opportunity for this kind of a platform to communicate with other people, and that we can actually try to come to some kind of results or solutions or come up with new ideas. I was asked by a British journalist about 1.5 years ago, as he said, "Bud, you're the right guy to set up a Caribbean Aviation Association." And I said, "No way, I'm not going to do it. It's so complex here. There's so many dilemmas here. That's something I'm not going to do." And then I kept it in mind, and then I said to myself, you know, it is needed. Something is needed. And I think the best way to start it is building a communication platform first, so that I can see who the participants are, who the stakeholders are, how serious they are, and from what directions they're coming, and in what ways they're willing to participate and support the idea. Eventually, what I would hope to get out of it, that we're going to have either a Caribbean Aviation Association or a Caribbean Airlift Council.
If there's a word that we can all take away from this conference, it's cooperation. And it's not a cute word, it's not cliche. A lot of us have left here seeing that there's legitimate cooperation that can be done in the Caribbean that will help everyone. And it's mutually beneficial.
Yes, I believe that this conference was very important for the industry, for people to grow and to learn more about each other.
Lux Aviation is the second largest worldwide business aviation operator. We manage approximately 250 business jets and helicopters worldwide. We are headquartered in Luxembourg.
For me, you have the perfect region for both luxury travel, for hotels, and also for aviation. You could say that you also have a perfect business for on the maritime side, of course, right? But most of these guests, they don't want to take the boats. They prefer to go quickly between the islands because it's the island itself they want to see. So they fly. This is a fantastic opportunity for the youth in this region, I believe, because aviation will boom. It is booming, but it will be even more in this region.
Part of our trip planning process, part of our handling network, and I know other companies are very keen into that, it's ground safety and security and procedures. Years ago, to be honest, it was like, oh, it's a private plane. There was no standards for the industry. And that's why I wanted to touch here, because we need to make sure when we use a vendor that they are at the standards of our company and the industry needs these days. And this is changing rapidly for business aviation too.
Passengers that are anxious about their trip, that are a little uncertain about what's going to happen when they get to the other end, maybe they don't shop as much. Maybe they don't eat as much. Okay? But if you talk about certain benefits that are hard to quantify, it really depends on the strategy of the stakeholder. Do you sell pre-clearance as a feature? Some might offer that, well, no one's just going to come to St. Martin because you have pre-clearance. Well, perhaps they do if they're a travel-conscious traveler. Perhaps they do if they've had one bad experience at JFK or LAX or Miami. Perhaps if they understand what pre-clearance offers, they go, hey, you know what, I'm going to pick that place.